Listen. Close your eyes for a moment if you can, or simply soften your gaze and let the world in front of you blur. I want you to bring to mind the last time you felt truly let down by someone else, a promise that was broken, a confidence that was betrayed. A moment of weakness where you needed support and the person you counted on was nowhere to be found. Remember that feeling. The hollow ache in your chest, the sharp sting of disbelief, the quiet, bitter voice in your head that says, you should have known better. You can't count on anyone but yourself. Now, think of the last time you sought validation. You poured your heart into a project, a piece of art, a business idea. You unveiled it to the world, or maybe just to your friends, your family, your colleagues, and you waited. You watched the likes, the comments, the feedback. You scanned their faces for approval, their words for praise. And when you didn't get the reaction you hoped for, when the praise was faint or the criticism was sharp, how did you feel? That deflating sensation. The feeling that your creation, and by extension you, were not good enough. We live in the age of the crowd. We are tethered to it by a digital leash we carry in our pockets. Its opinions, its trends, its judgments, its fleeting moments of outrage and adulation. They form the very air we breathe. We are taught from birth that success is a team sport, that we need to network, to collaborate, to find our tribe, to lean on others. And there is truth in that. Humans are social creatures. But there is a deeper, more dangerous truth that we ignore at our peril. A truth that the crowd will never tell you because its survival depends on your compliance. That truth is this: the crowd is fickle. External validation is a drug, and its dose must be constantly increased to have the same effect. And dependence on others for your inner state is a cage with a door that only you can lock from the inside. There is a path less traveled, a path that leads not away from people but away from dependence on them. It is a path of radical self-reliance, of profound inner sovereignty. It is the path of the Stoic warrior. And its first, most challenging and most liberating step is this: you must learn to walk alone. This is not a call to misanthropy. It is not an instruction to become a hermit, to shun your friends, or to abandon your family. It is a call to build a fortress within yourself so impregnable, a core so resilient, that you no longer need anyone or anything outside of you to feel whole, to feel worthy, to feel at peace. Walking alone means walking with yourself as your primary companion. It means your approval is the only one that truly matters. It means your moral compass is the one you follow, not the shifting winds of popular opinion. It means when the storm hits, and it will, you are your own shelter. You are your own anchor. This is the way of the Stoic warrior. The warrior does not go into battle hoping his allies will not fail him. He trains so hard, so completely, that he can win the fight even if they do. His strength is an internal resource, not an external one. His victory is determined by his own conduct, his own courage, his own discipline, not by the chaos unfolding around him. The ancient Stoics understood this better than anyone. They lived in turbulent times. Marcus Aurelius was an emperor, constantly on campaign, facing betrayal, plague, and war. Seneca was a playwright and statesman, navigating the treacherous halls of Nero's court, eventually exiled and ordered to take his own life. Epictetus was a slave, a man who owned nothing, not even his own body, and yet he achieved a freedom that kings and senators envied. What did they all have in common? They understood that the only true domain of power, the only thing any of us truly own, is our own mind, our own will, our own ability to choose how we perceive the world and how we respond to it. Everything else is on loan. Your reputation, it belongs to the opinions of others. Your wealth, it can be lost in a moment. Your health, it is subject to the whims of biology. Your relationships, they involve the will of other free and therefore unpredictable human beings. To stake your happiness on any of these externals is to build your house on the fault line of chaos. It is guaranteed to crumble. The Stoic warrior chooses a different foundation, the foundation of the self. This is the meaning of walk alone. It is the conscious decision to stop leasing your emotional well-being from the outside world and to start owning it outright. It is the first step on a journey that will lead you to rise above the fray and ultimately to win the only war that truly matters, the war for your own soul. This journey is not easy. It requires a brutal honesty with yourself. It requires you to face your own weaknesses, your own dependencies, your own deep-seated need for approval. It requires you to walk away from the noise of the crowd and into the silence of your own heart. But in that silence you will find a strength you never knew you possessed. A clarity that the world cannot give you, a peace that cannot be shaken. This is your call to solitude, not a loneliness of despair, but a solitude of power, the first step on the path of the Stoic warrior. It is time to begin. Part 2. Forging the inner citadel. To walk alone is not a matter of physical isolation. It is a matter of spiritual and mental independence, and this independence must be built. It is not a default state, it is an achievement. It is the conscious construction of what the Stoics called the inner citadel. Imagine a fortress. A citadel, it is built on solid rock. Its walls are impossibly thick, made of stone that cannot be breached. It has a deep, clean well of water within its walls, so it can never be besieged into submission. It has stores of food, armaments, everything it needs to withstand a long campaign. It is self-sufficient, self-sustaining, and impregnable. This fortress is your mind. Or at least this is what your mind can become. Right now, for most people, their mind is not a fortress. It is a flimsy tent, pitched in the middle of a chaotic battlefield. It offers no protection. Every gust of wind, every shout from the outside world, every passing soldier threatens to tear it down. Their peace is stolen the moment a single negative comment is fired in their direction. Their stability is threatened the moment the weather turns. The work of the Stoic warrior is to become the architect and the mason of their own inner citadel, to tear down the flimsy tent and, brick by brick, thought by thought, build a fortress that can withstand any assault. And the cornerstone of this entire structure, the bedrock upon which everything else is built, is the single most powerful principle in all of philosophy, the dichotomy of control. If you master nothing else but this, you will have mastered the art of walking alone. You will have won 90% of the battle for your peace of mind. The principle articulated so clearly by the slave philosopher Epictetus is this: some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. That's it. It sounds almost childishly simple, but I promise you, if you truly, deeply ingrain this distinction into your consciousness, it will fundamentally and permanently alter your experience of life. Let's break it down. What is truly 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, up to us? Our own judgments, our own impulses, our own desires, our own aversions, in short, our own thoughts and our own actions. That is the list. That is the entirety of your kingdom, your sovereign territory. It is the only place in the universe where you are the absolute and final authority. You get to choose what you believe. You get to choose whether to act with honesty or with deceit. You get to choose whether to respond to an insult with anger or with indifference. You get to choose what you value, what you pursue. You get to choose your character. Everything else, to varying degrees, is not up to us. Our body and its health. We can influence it, but we cannot guarantee it. A stray virus, a genetic predisposition, an accident, these can all change our health in an instant. Our reputation and what other people think of us. This is entirely outside of our control. We can act virtuously, but others may still slander us. We can be kind, but others may still misjudge us. Their minds are their own kingdoms. Our property, our wealth, our possessions, they can be lost, stolen, destroyed. They are externals, the actions of other people. This is a huge one. We cannot control what other people say, think, or do. They are independent agents, just as we are. Trying to control them is like trying to grasp water. The world itself, the weather, the economy, the political landscape, the past, the future, all of it is fundamentally outside of our control. The vast majority of the things that we worry about, that we get angry about, that we get anxious about, that we let ruin our day, fall into this second category. They are not up to us. And here is the source of all human misery. We try to control the uncontrollable, and we fail to properly control what is in our power. We treat the second list as if it belongs on the first list. We get angry in traffic because we believe on some level that we should be able to control the flow of cars and the actions of other drivers. We are trying to control the uncontrollable. We are anxious about the future because we believe we should be able to guarantee a specific outcome. We are trying to control the uncontrollable. We are devastated by a bad review because we have tied our self-worth to the opinions of others. We have placed something from the second list, our reputation, into our inner citadel, something that should only be guarded by things from the first list, our own judgment of our actions. The Stoic warrior sees this with absolute clarity. They have a ruthlessly clear sorting mechanism in their mind at all times. Every event, every thought, every concern is immediately categorized. Is this mine to command, or is it not? If it is theirs to command, their thoughts, their actions, they give it their full energy. They focus, they act, they build. If it is not theirs to command, they practice the art of indifference. This is another misunderstood Stoic word. Indifference does not mean not caring. It means not being emotionally disturbed by. It means accepting reality as it is without adding a layer of emotional suffering. You can be indifferent to the rain without being indifferent to getting wet. You accept the rain. It is not in your control, but you then take an action that is in your control. You pick up an umbrella. This is the practice. It is a constant, moment-to-moment discipline. When you feel that surge of anger, that flash of anxiety, that knot of frustration, you must train yourself to pause, to take a single conscious breath, and to ask the question, is this in my control? Let's run a few simulations. Someone insults you online. The insult, the person who wrote it, the number of likes it gets, all of it is external, not in your control. Your blood pressure starts to rise. This is your body reacting. That's mostly not in your control. But the thought that follows, this is an injustice. I must defend myself. My reputation is at stake. That thought is in your control. It is a judgment. The warrior sees this judgment for what it is, a mistake, a faulty premise. The warrior's response is not to engage in the mud. It is to correct the internal error. They think, this person's opinion is an external. It has no bearing on my character. My only duty is to act with reason and peace. And then they act. They close the laptop. They go for a walk. They win the battle by refusing to fight on the enemy's terms. You have a huge presentation at work. You have prepared. You know your material. The outcome of the presentation, whether you get the deal, whether your boss is impressed, whether the technology works perfectly, is not entirely in your control. It depends on others, on circumstances. Worrying about this is a fool's errand. What is in your control? Your preparation, your demeanor, your decision to speak with clarity and integrity. The warrior focuses 100% of their energy here. They do the work. And then they attach a mental clause to their intention. I will do my best, fate permitting. This releases them from the anxiety of the outcome. They have already won, because their victory was in the effort, not the result. This is how you forge the inner citadel, one brick at a time. Every time you correctly identify what is yours and what is not, and you act accordingly, you are laying another stone. Every time you let go of trying to control the uncontrollable, you are thickening the walls. The walls of this citadel are made of reason. The mortar is made of discipline. The well within its walls is your own judgment, and you alone decide whether its waters are clear or poisoned. As you build, you will find that the shouting from the outside world grows fainter. The actions of others lose their power to wound you. The chaos of the world becomes just a backdrop to the unshakable peace you have cultivated within. You are learning to walk alone. You are finding your footing. This is the foundation. This is the fortress from which the warrior will rise. Part 3. Tier Warrior's Arsenal. A fortress is not built on theory alone. It is built with tools. The Stoic warrior is a pragmatist, a craftsman of the mind. They know that understanding the dichotomy of control is the blueprint, but it is the daily practice, the mental exercises that actually do the building. In this part, we will add 4 essential tools to your arsenal. These are not abstract concepts. They are active practices. Hammers and chisels for your inner citadel. Master them, and you will be equipped for any battle. Tool 1. The view from above, the weapon of perspective. The greatest enemy of the warrior is the ego. The ego is the part of you that believes your problems are the most important problems in the universe. It is the part that feels personally attacked by every slight, that feels entitled to a smooth and easy life. The ego is what keeps you trapped in the flimsy tent, convinced that the tiny patch of ground it occupies is the center of the cosmos. The view from above is the most powerful weapon against the ego. It is a mental exercise designed to vaporize self-importance and re-establish your connection to the grand, indifferent, and beautiful whole. Here is how you wield it. Find a moment of stillness. You can do this sitting, lying down, even walking. Close your eyes and begin to lift yourself out of your body. See yourself sitting or lying there. See the room around you, the furniture, the light, the dust motes dancing in the air. Now rise up through the ceiling. You are floating above your own house, your own apartment building. You see the roof, the yard, the street. You see the cars moving like ants, the people walking like specks. Each one of them just like you, convinced of the absolute importance of their own destination. Rise higher. You are now looking down on your entire neighborhood. The grid of streets, the parks, the schools. You see the web of life, the comings and goings, the thousands of individual stories playing out simultaneously. The argument that was consuming you an hour ago is not even visible from this height. Continue to rise. You are looking down on your entire city, your town. You see the sprawling architecture, the highways, the industrial zones, the residential hubs. You see it as a single complex organism. You feel the pulse of it. You see the sheer scale of humanity, and you realize that your individual life, your individual worries, are a microscopic part of this vast tapestry. Higher still, you are in orbit now, looking down at the continent, the coastlines, the mountain ranges, the great rivers. The lights of the cities at night are a sprawling, artificial constellation. From here you cannot see a single human being. You only see the evidence of their collective existence. The problems that felt so immense, so personal, are now gone. They have been absorbed into the scale of the world, and now pulled back into the silent black void of space. You see the earth, a perfect swirling blue and white marble, fragile, exquisite, hanging in nothing. Think about the billions of people on that tiny sphere, all born, all living, all dying, all within the span of a single cosmic heartbeat. You are one of them, a brief flicker of consciousness on a lonely rock. See the Earth as just one planet orbiting a single average star. See our sun as just one star in a galaxy of 100 billion stars. And see our galaxy as just one galaxy in a universe of 1 trillion galaxies. Now, ask yourself, in the face of all of this, the sheer, incomprehensible immensity of it all, how important is your anger? How significant is your anxiety? How earth-shattering is that insult, that setback, that disappointment? The view from above does two things. First, it puts your problems in their proper place. It shrinks them down to their true size. Most of what we agonize over is, from a cosmic perspective, less than a speck of dust. Second, and more importantly, it connects you to what the Stoics called sympathia, a feeling of kinship with all of nature and all of humanity. You see that the person who angered you is not your enemy. They are a fellow traveler on this tiny planet, just as lost and just as human as you are. You are both part of the same grand cosmic process. When you are consumed by your own drama, when your ego is inflamed, when you feel the world is against you, practice the view from above. It is the ultimate pattern interrupt. It is the warrior's way of remembering that the battle they fight is small, but the reason they fight it, to live with reason and virtue, is part of something infinitely large. Premeditatio Malorum, the shield of anticipation. A warrior does not go into battle hoping for the best. A warrior prepares for the worst. He anticipates the enemy's moves. He envisions every possible failure point, every potential disaster, and he prepares for it. This is not pessimism. It is the ultimate form of optimism, because it is the practice that guarantees you will not be broken by what happens. The Stoics called this Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is the practice of spending a few minutes each day, or before any significant undertaking, vividly imagining everything that could go wrong. Let's be clear, this is not about dwelling on negativity or inviting bad things to happen. It is a mental rehearsal. It is a psychological vaccine. You expose yourself to a weakened version of the virus, the thought of adversity, so that your mind, your immune system, is prepared when the real thing strikes. You have a big family dinner planned, imagine it. The food gets burned. Your relatives start arguing about politics. Someone makes a passive-aggressive comment about your life choices. The kids are screaming. Nothing goes as you planned. You have a crucial business trip. Imagine it. Your flight is cancelled. Your luggage is lost. The hotel reservation is messed up. Your presentation fails because the tech doesn't work. The client is hostile. You have a first date. Imagine it. The conversation is awkward and full of long silences. You have nothing in common. You spill a drink on yourself. You say something stupid. Why would you do this? Because by imagining these scenarios in advance, you strip them of their power to surprise and disarm you. If the food gets burned, you'll laugh and say, well, I guess it's pizza for everyone. If the flight is cancelled, you'll already have a backup plan. You'll have the number for another airline. You'll know what to do. If the presentation tech fails, you'll be prepared to deliver it without slides because you've already imagined that failure and decided how you'd respond. This practice turns vague, paralyzing fear into concrete, manageable problems. Anxiety thrives in the unknown. Premeditatio, Malorum, drags the unknown into the light of day and shows you that you can, in fact, handle it, but it does something even more profound. It cultivates a deep and powerful gratitude. Seneca said that we should anticipate the things we value, our possessions, our loved ones, our health, so that if they are taken from us, the loss will not sting as much, and if they are not, we will appreciate them all the more. When you take a moment to imagine losing your job, you walk into work the next day with a different sense of appreciation for the fact that you have a job at all. When you imagine a loved one being gone, the next time you see them, you are more present, more loving, more attentive. The warrior uses this shield of anticipation daily. It makes them resilient. It makes them grateful. It turns them from a fragile optimist who is shattered by the first storm into a robust realist who is prepared for any weather. Tool 3, Amor, Fati, the sword of acceptance. This is perhaps the most advanced and most powerful tool in the arsenal. Amor, Fati, a love of fate. It is one thing to accept what happens, to meet it with indifference. It is another thing entirely to love it, to embrace it, to will it to be so. This does not mean you must love suffering or injustice or loss. It means you must love the fact that this is the path that has been laid out for you. You must see every event, every challenge, every setback, not as an obstacle in your path, but as the path itself. The ultimate Stoic ideal is to say, not just, I accept this, but I will that this should be so. Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher deeply influenced by the Stoics, formulated this idea into his concept of the Amor Fati. My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. How is this possible? How can you love a disaster? The warrior sees every event as raw material, as fuel, as a training opportunity. An illness is not a curse, it is a chance to practice patience and endurance. A betrayal is not a wound, it is a chance to practice forgiveness and to learn the nature of trust. A failure is not a defeat, it is a lesson, a piece of data, a chance to grow stronger and wiser. The warrior reframes everything. There are no good or bad events, there are only events. And then there is our judgment of them. The warrior's judgment is always, how can I use this? How can this make me stronger? How can this serve my purpose of living a virtuous life? When you practice Amor Fati, you stop fighting reality. You stop wasting your energy on wishing things were different. You are no longer at war with the universe. You are in partnership with it. You see every twist and turn, every peak and every valley as an essential part of your unique story. This is the sword that cuts through the knot of suffering. Suffering is not the event itself. Suffering is the gap between what is and what you believe should be. Amor Fati eliminates that gap. You collapse the distance between reality and your desire for reality. You desire what is. To love your fate is to be invincible. And because nothing can happen to you that you do not, in some way, embrace as your own. You are no longer a piece of wood being tossed about by the waves. You are the surfer riding the wave, using its immense power for your own forward motion. Tool 4. Memento Mori, the compass of purpose. The last tool in the warrior's arsenal is a simple, stark, and liberating reminder: Memento Mori. Remember, you will die. This is not meant to be a morbid or depressing thought. For the Stoic, it is the ultimate motivator. It is the compass that keeps you pointed toward what truly matters. The warrior knows that their time is short, that this battle, this life, is finite. This knowledge does not paralyze them with fear. It galvanizes them with purpose. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius would tell himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Think about that. If this were your last day, would you waste it on trivial arguments, on scrolling through social media, on worrying about what other people think of you? Or would you focus your energy on what is essential, on expressing love to the people you care about, on doing your work with integrity and excellence, on living in accordance with your values?" Memento Mori strips away the non-essential. It is a filter for your priorities. It reminds you that your time is the most precious and most limited resource you have. You must not squander it. It also puts your problems into perspective. The fear of giving a presentation, in the face of your own mortality, it seems insignificant. The anger you feel towards a stranger, it is a waste of the precious, fleeting moments you have. The warrior carries this awareness with them at all times. It is not a fear of death, but an awareness of life. It is what gives them the courage to take risks, to speak truth to power, to live authentically. What is the worst that can happen? You die. You are going to die anyway. The only question is how you will live in the time you have. To remember your death is to live your life with urgency, clarity, and gratitude. It is the final, essential tool that keeps the warrior focused on the path, on the work, on the only thing that truly matters, living a life of virtue right now. These four tools, perspective, anticipation, acceptance, and purpose, are the warrior's arsenal. They are the practices that will forge your inner citadel into an unbreakable stronghold. Wield them daily. Master them, and you will be ready to rise. Part 4. The warrior on the battlefield. A fortress is useless if it is never tested. An arsenal of tools is meaningless if they are never used. The true measure of the Stoic warrior is not in the quiet moments of contemplation, but in the heat of battle. The battlefield is your life. Is not in the quiet moments of contemplation. Every day, every interaction, every challenge. In this part, we will take the warrior and the citadel and the arsenal onto the three most common and treacherous battlefields of modern existence. Battlefield 1, the arena of relationships. This is the most complex battlefield because it is here that the principle of walking alone is most severely tested. How can you be a Stoic warrior, self-reliant and independent, and still be a good friend, a loving partner, a devoted family member? The mistake is to think that self-reliance means self-isolation. The Stoic warrior understands the paradox. You can only truly connect with others and be a source of strength for them when you are not dependent on them for your own strength. Think about it. If you need your partner's constant approval to feel worthy, your relationship is not a partnership of two strong individuals. It is a codependent arrangement where you are both leeching emotional stability from each other. If your friend's validation is the source of your confidence, you are not a friend, you are a follower, desperate to belong. The warrior enters relationships from a place of wholeness, not from a place of need. They do not enter a relationship to get something, happiness, security, validation. They enter a relationship to give something, their strength, their virtue, their love, their presence. This changes everything. When you love from a place of wholeness, your love is a gift, not a transaction. You are not keeping score. You are not expecting anything in return. This means you cannot be hurt by your expectations not being met. When your friend is going through a hard time, the warrior can be a rock for them because the warrior's own peace is not dependent on their friend's happiness. They can listen, they can support, they can offer counsel without being emotionally dragged down into the chaos. They can be a stable presence. When your partner disagrees with you or criticizes you, the warrior does not see it as an attack on their worth. They see it as data, an external event. They listen, they consider it. If the criticism is fair, they learn from it and grow. If it is unfair, they recognize it as such, let it go, and do not allow it to disturb their inner citadel. The warrior practices the art of loving without attachment. This is a crucial distinction. Attachment is needy, grasping, fearful of loss. Love is generous, free, and courageous enough to face the possibility of loss. The warrior loves deeply and fiercely, but they know that the other person is not their possession. They are a free agent. The warrior's happiness does not depend on them staying or acting a certain way. This is how you walk alone within a relationship. You are two strong, self-reliant individuals walking side by side, supporting each other, but each carrying their own weight, You are a team of warriors, not a crowd of dependents. You can win together, but you also know that if you had to, you could win alone. And that knowledge makes the partnership stronger, not weaker. Battlefield 2, the Coliseum of work and ambition. The modern workplace is a Coliseum. It is a place of fierce competition, political maneuvering, high stakes, and constant judgment. It is a place where the ego is constantly being stroked or stung. It is the perfect testing ground for the warrior. The crowd in the Coliseum is your boss, your colleagues, your clients, the market. They are fickle. They will cheer for you one day and boo you the next. To stake your self-worth on their approval is to volunteer for the emotional roller coaster. The warrior's approach to work is governed by the dichotomy of control. What is in your control? Your effort, your integrity, your skill, your preparation, your decision to act with honesty and diligence, your character in the workplace, whether you cut corners or do the right thing when no one is watching. What is not in your control? The outcome, whether you get the promotion, whether the project succeeds, whether your boss likes you, what your competitors do, the state of the economy. The warrior focuses 100% of their energy on the first list. They do the work, they do it exceptionally well. They act with virtue. They find their satisfaction in the quality of their action, not in the results of that action. This is the essence of rise alone. You rise not by climbing over others, not by playing political games, not by desperately seeking the favor of the powerful be. You rise by becoming so good, so reliable, so virtuous in your own sphere of action that your rise becomes a natural consequence of your character. You rise on your own merits, on your own terms. When you face criticism, the warrior analyzes it. Is it fair? Is there truth in it? If so, it is a free gift. It is a roadmap for improvement. Thank the person and use it. If it is unfair, if it is motivated by jealousy or spite, the warrior recognizes it as such. It is an external, like a bad smell. You notice it, you identify its source, and you move on. You do not allow it to enter your citadel. You do not waste a single moment defending yourself against it. Your work will be your defense. When you face failure, the warrior does not see it as a reflection of their worth. They see it as an essential part of the process. Thomas Edison said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This is the warrior's mindset. Failure is data. It is a teacher. It is not a reason to quit. It is a reason to adapt, to learn, and to come back stronger. The warrior in the workplace is ambitious, but their ambition is internal. Their goal is not to get to the top of the ladder. Their goal is to be the best version of themselves right where they are. They find their victory in their own conduct, in their own growth, in their own unshakable integrity. And ironically, it is this very internal focus that often leads to the greatest external success. Battlefield 3, the Crucible of adversity. This is the final test. It is the battle against pain, loss, illness, and misfortune. This is where the warrior either proves their mettle or their fortress crumbles. Adversity is the great forge. It is the fire that burns away the impurities and reveals the core of your character. You cannot know how strong your citadel is until it is besieged. The Stoic warrior faces adversity with the full arsenal. They use the view from above to see their personal suffering within the larger context of the universal cycle of birth, growth, decay, and death. It is a natural process. They are not being singled out for punishment. They are simply participating in the nature of things. They use Premeditatio, Malorum because they have already imagined this. They have already contemplated the loss of their health, their wealth, their loved ones. So when it happens, it is not a shock that shatters them. It is a reality they have already in some way made peace with. It is painful, yes, but it is not devastating. They have already rehearsed their response to act with courage, with patience, with grace. They use Amor, Fati, to embrace the adversity as their path. They do not ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What now?" They see the challenge not as a curse, but as their specific assignment from the universe. What virtue is this moment calling for? Patience, courage, compassion. The adversity becomes the raw material for their own growth. and they use Memento Mori to remember that this too shall pass, and that their time is limited, so they must not waste what remains of it on self-pity or despair. They must live as much as they are able on their own terms. Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations during a time of almost constant war, plague, and personal loss. He was not writing from a comfortable study. He was writing from the battlefield, from the front lines of human suffering, and yet his words are not of bitterness or despair. They are of clarity, duty, and a profound, unshakable inner peace. This is the victory of the Stoic warrior. The victory is not the avoidance of hardship. The victory is how you meet it. The victory is to be knocked down 7 times and to get up 8, not with a smile but with resolve, not with a false sense of positivity, but with a deep and abiding acceptance of reality and a commitment to live virtuously within it. This is how you rise alone. You rise not because life is easy, but because you have learned how to use the difficulty itself as the very force that elevates you. A victory of solitude. We have walked a long path together. We have answered the call to solitude. We have answered the call to solitude. We have forged the inner citadel on the bedrock of the dichotomy of control. We have armed ourselves with the weapons of perspective, anticipation, acceptance, and purpose. We have walked the warrior onto the battlefields of relationship, work, and adversity. And now we arrive at the final and most profound stage of the journey, the victory. Win alone. The numbers in the bank account. It is a scoreboard filled with external metrics. The Stoic warrior's definition of winning is radically different. It is an internal affair. It is a state of being. It is not a destination you arrive at, but the way you walk the path. To win alone is to achieve eudaimonia. This is a Greek word that is often translated as happiness, but that is a weak translation. It is closer to human flourishing. It is a state of deep, abiding fulfillment that comes from living a life of virtue, excellence, and purpose. To win alone is to achieve ataraxia. This is a state of serene calm, untroubled by the events of the external world. It is the feeling of living inside the impenetrable citadel you have built. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that nothing on the outside can truly harm you on the inside. To win alone is to know, with every fiber of your being, that your worth is inherent and non-negotiable. It does not go up when you are praised, and it does not go down when you are criticized. It simply is. This victory is not a loud, celebratory event. It is a quiet, internal shift. It is the moment you realize that you no longer need anything from the world to be at peace. You may still want things, a loving family, meaningful work, a comfortable life, but you no longer need them for your happiness. Your happiness is a self-sustaining fire you have built within yourself. This is the paradox of the Stoic path and its ultimate beauty. By learning to walk alone, you become better equipped to walk with others. Because you are no longer a needy drain on their energy, you can become a source of strength for them. You can love without fear. You can give without expectation. You can be a true friend, a true partner, a true citizen of the world, because your participation is a choice, not a dependency. By learning to rise alone, you no longer see others as competition. You are not trying to climb over them to get what you want. You are focused on your own work, your own character. This frees you to collaborate, to mentor, to support others on their own journeys, because their success does not threaten yours. Your victory is internal. By learning to win alone, you redefine winning itself. You see that the only real victory is the mastery of your own mind. The only real prize is a life well lived, a character well honed, a soul at peace. This is the freedom that Epictetus found as a slave. This is the freedom that Seneca found as he faced his own death. This is the freedom that Marcus Aurelius found on the battlefields of the North. It is a freedom that is available to you right now, not because the world will change, but because you will. The crowd will still be there. Its noise will still try to pull you back. The externals will still be unpredictable. People will still let you down. Challenges will still arise, but they will no longer be your masters. They will be your training partners. The insult will be an opportunity to practice patience. The failure will be an opportunity to practice resilience. The loss will be an opportunity to practice gratitude for what you had. The chaos of the world will be the backdrop against which your own inner clarity shines even brighter. This is the way of the Stoic warrior. It is a path of immense discipline. It requires you to be brutally honest with yourself, to confront your own weaknesses, to do the hard, daily work of building your citadel. It is a path of profound solitude, where you must learn to be your own most trusted companion, your own most steadfast source of strength. It is a path of relentless rising, where you use every fall, every setback, every piece of adversity as fuel to elevate yourself to a higher state of being. And it is a path of ultimate victory, a victory that no one can take away from you, victory that does not decay with time, a victory that is not written on a scoreboard or in a history book, but is etched onto the very fabric of your soul. Walk alone, rise alone, win alone, not as a rejection of the world, but as the only way to truly engage with it, on your own terms, from a position of unshakable strength and serene, unbreakable peace. The work begins now.